And good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 12-Ounce Sports NFL Betting Preview Show live here this morning. Week number 9 of the NFL season is underway with the Thursday night game that had taken place between the Jets and Indianapolis. So we're going to dive in here shortly to the games this coming Sunday and Monday. Aaron Crouch joining us from the AM Drive. Aaron, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm interested to get back into making some picks. I know we've had a couple of weeks of a hiatus, but I'm super excited. The NFL has, I don't know, it's been tough. It's been getting a lot tougher with the injuries piling up,
Wow.
and the books are getting smarter. And the first 6 weeks were really, really good. The last 2 have been still winning weeks, but they're more closer to 500 than they are to batting 1,000. So. I'm hoping to turn that back around and get back on a good ship here.
It's funny. I was talking to one of my coworkers on what I call my real job or my day job, and he said the NFL last couple of weeks is I call them overtime weeks. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I have to work overtime to cover my losses." So hopefully that's not the case this week. Hopefully we can get folks maybe back on the winning track or help them with our predictions. But before we get into the games. Thursday night, the Jets played the Indianapolis Colts. A must-win for the Colts. They looked good against that Jets defense, especially in the first half. It was like they didn't show up, but unfortunately for the Jets, another quarterback injury with White getting sidelined, and they had to go to Josh Johnson from the scrap heap. Tough game for the Jets. It seems like Robert Saleh can't catch a break right now as head coach for New York.
Yeah, it's funny, actually. Mike and I talked about that on the AM Drive yesterday. The fact that Josh Johnson has played or been on the practice squad for 14 different teams. And we talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick, and obviously Ryan Fitzpatrick has been on the field for a lot of these teams, or like 8 or 9 teams. But to be at 14 different stops, you totally forget about Josh Johnson. The fact that he's still in the league 15, 16 years later is it's pretty incredible testament to his longevity. But yeah, you don't really ever really want to see, as a coach or a fan of that team, you really never want to see Josh Johnson playing significant snaps for your team. No disrespect to him, but that usually means things have gone horribly wrong. But he actually had a very good game, and albeit in garbage time, and ultimately ended up getting the over for people who were on that train, which I think you said you were.
I was indeed. I was sweating it out. I woke up Friday morning and saw that and was like, all right, then, got back on the winning track. So we'll take it. Thank you, Josh. That helped out a lot. So, by the way, here on our show, all of our lines that we present to you today are courtesy of betus.com. Go to 12ouncesportsradio.com/betus, and it'll take you right to their website. And make sure with your first deposit, you use the promo code 12ounce. That's 12OZ, and you will get a 125% deposit bonus match on that. And as Aaron and I have told you throughout the year, that's our lock of the decade. That's our lock of the year. You can't lose with that one. So it's smart money. If you put $100 in, you'll get another 125. So you'll be using $225 to bet your favorite games with college or pro. So make sure that you do that when you go on BetUS. Aaron, let's get into the games. We've got a few teams on bye weeks this week. Fortunately, my Detroit Lions are one of them, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's go, though, to Miami. A couple of teams. We talked about a struggling team or two. Miami and Houston right now, Aaron, are both 1-7. And, I didn't see it coming with Miami. They've struggled throughout the year. They are currently a 6-point favorite, though, at home against the Texans. The over-under is 46. Before I go to you, I saw an interesting stat. Houston, in their last 6 games, are 3-3 against the spread, and that includes getting 16.5 against LA. They couldn't cover 20 against Arizona, or 11.5 against Indy, or 18.5. I don't know, just an interesting number for me. In this game, the Dolphins, I don't know. They're kind of an enigma right now. I don't know if I want to touch it. Houston is, in my notes, 76% of the betting public is going with the Texans in this one. Um, I, Not me. I'm going to go. I'm going to lay the points. I'm going to take the Dolphins laying 6.
Yeah, this number's actually moved down, and I know that there's a talk of Tyrod Taylor potentially playing football, this weekend in this game,
Mhm.
and I don't necessarily know if I love being on either side of this to try to make a pick against the spread, because if he doesn't play, I don't trust Davis Mills. But on the other side, I mean, do I trust a 1-7 team to lay basically a touchdown in this spot? It's probably the smoother play because they have the better quarterback. But after that, what do you have? Who's got the best anything? I
Yeah.
I mean, there is just zero talent on this field. I mean, the most hyped player on this field or on these in these organizations is Deshaun Watson, and he's not playing for either team right now. Against the spread, Miami 0-3 at home, 0-3 straight up at home, and Houston 1-3 on the road against the spread, and 0-4 straight up on the road. So it's really just a matchup of, good lord, all the stats point to just two turds on the field.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that the two turds produce a fat under here, and that's 46.
You know that
Because I just can't see a lot going on. I really see this game like 17-13 at best.
that's a great point. And there is some good coaching pedigree, especially on the Miami side of the ball. At least he gets the hype. Flores, but they're 1-7, and that Miami team looks like a team ready to implode. Tua, all the talk about him being traded, and it's just, yeah, it's ugly down there. Very underachieving team in Miami when they had all the hype coming in where they could be a potential playoff team, and well, they're not even close. That's for sure.
Right. And you have Miami 1-6-1 against the spread this year, and Houston's actually 4-4. So do you really want to be laying taking points, even though you're getting six? Do you really want to be taking points on a team that's 500 against the spread? So yikes. I'm glad we
Yeah.
got that one out of the way first.
Yes, for the purposes of this show, that's why I took Miami. But when I go on to put on a couple of shackles, it's not. I'm not even touching that game. That's for sure.
Wise move.
Let's go up the coast on the east side to or the Atlantic coast, I guess, to Baltimore. They're going to host Minnesota. Uh, Baltimore is a 6-point favorite. The over/under is 50. In the last 7 games that they've played, both teams are 3-4 against the spread. Minnesota, there's another team I just can't figure out. You would have thought they would have had a decent shot playing at home against Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. I just think they laid an egg in that one as well. Baltimore coming off a bad loss against Cincinnati. They're on a bye. They're going to come back. Loaded for bear, I believe. 58% of the betting public, Aaron, is going with Baltimore in this one, and I tend to agree with them. This is 2 straight games. I'm going to go with the home team laying 6. I'm going to take the Ravens laying the points.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. It's unfortunately has moved against us throughout the week. I believe the game started out at 4.5, reopened on Monday at 4.5, and has moved all the way up to 6. And Baltimore coming off a bye with a sour taste 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
getting stomped on by Cincinnati, who then in turn loses to the Jets the following week. It's like, you look at, how does Baltimore feel in this spot? You have a defense in Minnesota where Danielle Hunter, who is their leading pass rusher, is not going to play. They have Anthony Barr, who has just been hurt all year.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be without Patrick Peterson and Cameron Dantzler, the 2 starting cornerbacks. So it's just like, what are you going to do here? Rashad Bateman, quality receiver opposite Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson, through 8 weeks of the season, can throw a football. So, I mean, you couple that with the fact that he can run it, and he's all the rushing attack they need. Yeah, I'm with you. Ravens -6 in this one. And, yeah, if you had to play a total, it would be I think the Vikings can get you 17 to 20 points. So I'd look at an over here in this spot.
I was thinking about that as well. Maybe doing a parlay on this game, taking the Ravens and then possibly the over. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is actually having a decent year, but again, when it comes to the big spots, when they need him, he's like Casper the Ghost. It disappears. And I'm with you. I think Baltimore is just they're going to exploit. They're going to exploit Minnesota's defense and their injuries, and I really like them in this one for sure.
Agreed.
Let's go down the coast a little bit if we can. We'll go to Carolina. They're hosting New England this week. The over/under on this one is, I believe, 41. The latest line I had on Carolina and New England, I'm not sure if it's different, is 3.5.
Yes, 3.5 is what I'm
Okay.
currently looking at right now. Total 41.
Yeah, Carolina is a 3.5 point favorite in this one. Or I beg your pardon, an underdog in this one at home against New England. Um, I got to tell you, the Patriots. I am impressed with the progress of Mac Jones at quarterback for New England. It seems like that they've got an identity now. It's Carolina. Here's another team. I know at the beginning of the year when we had our first show, I had them as my sleeper pick to be the second best team in that division. I don't know if that's still a stretch because now with New Orleans losing their quarterback, but this one's kind of got me stumped. 71% of the betting public, Aaron, has got New England in this one, laying the 3.5. I'm up in the air on this one. I'm going to go with New England laying the points. This was a coin flip game for me. I really sat here this morning and thought about this one. Which way am I going to go? I know Christian McCaffrey, it looks like he may play for Carolina this week, so that's going to help them. They're in desperation mode, I think, which always you wonder about a team. But I'm going to stick with New England in this one, laying the points.
Well, yeah, this is a tough game. Excuse me. This is a tough game for both teams here in terms of, kind of staying relevant in the standings. We know that, Buffalo's probably going to run away with the AFC East, but with 7 playoff teams, the Patriots are not out of it per se here in this spot. The Panthers, started off strong. We wondered how much of a, fraud they might be with that situation, but Christian McCaffrey's been hurt. So if he can come back, provide that spark, whether it's Sam Darnold or PJ Walker, I really think I got a home dog here getting more than 3 points against a team. And my thoughts on the Patriots. I just think they're a very average football team.
Yes.
I mean, up until this win against the Chargers, and even again the win against the Chargers, where they mustered up 1 offensive touchdown. So I mean, it wasn't like they were just an offensive juggernaut in this spot. I think they're progressing. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you about Mac Jones. I don't think PJ Walker's that much of a downgrade from Sam Darnold. Not that that's a compliment to either of them, but they've got explosive playmakers. If Christian McCaffrey can come back, he definitely helps out tremendously, and he needs to come back. But what's he been out? 5 weeks, 6 weeks now?
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, it's time to either, get him on the horse or shut him down for the season again, because in the NFC South, you're looking at a team here that's 4-4 and currently like 2.5 games back of the guys in front of them. And, you just have to, the NFC is so loaded. So to stay in it 4-5, and you can't fall too far back here. So it's really to put up or shut up time for McCaffrey and Matt Rule for this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to get a win, but for the purposes of this picking, I'm going to actually just take the 3.5 points here. I think Panthers end up ultimately winning this game, though.
I want to ask you a question on that with Carolina. With Sam Darnold, I begged on him repeatedly coming out of USC. I thought he was a tad overrated, but now that he's in Carolina, and he started out pretty good, I thought, and he got benched. What kind of a hit to his psyche is that going to take? How is he going to be able to recover from that?
Well, he didn't get benched. He actually he went out of the game with a concussion.
Okay.
So I mean, I get what you're saying with the whole playing well, not playing well thing. It wasn't like he was playing well before the concussion. I mean, benching could have obviously been considered by Matt Rule, but I mean, everybody wants to overreact to the situation. There's so many ebbs and flows in the season. Look at Denver the same way. Like we wanted to put, the Panthers. I know Mike put them in the top 5 of his AM drive, and sometimes you just have those stretches where, I mean, look at the Colts. They're 3-5, but we could argue they're the best sub 500 team in football right now. And the ebbs and flows of the season. You're starting to get into divisional play more often now in the middle of the season. The meat and potatoes, like,
Yeah.
what is, many people are saying, is Sam Darnold better than the Teddy Bridgewater option they had? I don't know. I mean, he plays well when the skill position players around him are healthy. So I can't really judge him when he didn't have his guy, McCaffrey. I mean, who doesn't want Christian McCaffrey as your, safety blanket? I mean, let's just
Right.
be honest here. So if he plays in this game, both Darnold and McCaffrey, then we'll start grading on if Sam Darnold can actually become a quarterback of the future for the Panthers or any other team. But right now, it's the book is out and he's
Yeah.
hurt. So go
Well, I
PJ.
get that. I just, and I go back to, when he played with the Jets. Now he gets a pass, in my opinion, is because the Jets were, it was a borderline clown show with Adam Gase there. You didn't know whether you were coming or going in that franchise when he was there. So I get you there. Your point's well taken with Carolina. He's the jury is still out. I just wonder how many times before, it gets into his head. He's had opportunities and maybe he doesn't get to play with the skilled players. I'm not saying he's going to give up, but it makes you wonder sometimes that when it gets into your head, what do I got to do? I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from with that.
Well, this is definitely going to be a test for him if he does play, because I don't know if you remember when he was with the Jets, they played the Patriots on a Sunday night or Monday night game, and Sam Darnold literally, and I quote, said, "I was seeing ghosts out there."
Great point. Yeah, I remember that for sure. Well, let's keep going south. We're going to go to Jacksonville next. They get to host the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo coming in. They're a road 14.5-point favorite the last I checked against Jacksonville. 48.5, I believe, is the over-under on this one. Excuse me, 55% of the betting public that I've got is heading. They're putting their money on Buffalo. So that tells you it's almost 50-50 on this one. You've made some great points over the weeks, Aaron, on the show where you start getting into double-digit spreads, and you've got a Jaguars team. They're obviously in a rebuild, but that's a lot of points, and they're at home. And I like some of the things that Trevor Lawrence is doing in Jacksonville. I think the chatter is settled down there with Urban Meyer, potentially thinking about going to USC. It's always going to be there, but I think that talk is quieted down for the moment. The over-under on this, as I mentioned, is 48.5. I got to tell you, I like Buffalo. They're a great team. They're obviously head and shoulders above Jacksonville, but I don't think they're 14.5 points ahead of them on the road. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I'm going to take the points.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's one of the biggest spreads, if not the biggest spread of the week. And my feelings on big spreads. Usually I'm
Mhm.
all over the dog as well in this one. But you look at a Jaguars team that just doesn't seem to want to play football, not only for the coach, but just for themselves. I mean, they're 29th or excuse me, 30th in the league in points per game. They're 21st in the league in yards per game. The one thing they do well, which baffles me, the one thing they do well is run the football. They
Mhm.
have 813 yards on the ground, which is good for like 13 or 14th in the league. Yards per play, running the ball, they're averaging 5.2 yards per game, which sounds great, right, Lou?
Yeah.
But they literally run the ball 32% of the time. They're literally putting their ball in the hands of a rookie quarterback. Like, this is it baffles me. And it's not just because of the fact that James Robinson is one of my fantasy running backs on a few teams. The fact that you have a strength and you don't use it. Now I understand you're down in games sometimes, but controlling the clock and actually effectively running the football right now is going to be your key to not only winning this game, but covering in this game. Um, So you just pick your poison with Buffalo. They've developed a little bit of a running game on top of having Josh Allen. You take away Stephon Diggs, they've got Cole Beasley. You take away Beasley, they got Emmanuel Sanders. They got Dawson Knox. It's just like they're going to pick you apart here in this spot. So you're just hoping to really just kind of almost play keep away with Josh Allen, which is I'm gonna bank on the fact that I think they can do that a little bit. So I'm actually going to just take the over in this game. I'm thinking we can get 30 or so out of the Buffalo Bills, 30-34, and I'm hoping for somewhere around the 20 range for Jacksonville. Give me that over in this spot because I really can't figure out how to play 14 and a half points in this spot with a
You know,
Jaguars team that may have already given up.
that's a great point, and I think that you could see the way I look at it is right along your lines. I think they could do a backdoor cover, and a 30-20 game or something like that, or 30-21, or 31-20, where they're down big, and teams tend to go into the prevent just to I don't know. They lay off the gas pedal. We noticed it Thursday night with the Jets and the Colts. I mean, the Colts were up 42-10 at one point in that game. I think maybe you could see something like that. That's kind of where I'm leaning with Jacksonville. They could be the kings of the backdoor cover. Um, but your point's well taken. I sooner or later, pride to me has got to set in a little bit where Jacksonville can at least look competitive. And I don't know. I just have a feeling I'm going with your logic with the points. That's why I'm going to say it's too many points to get at home. That's why I'm sticking with Jacksonville. So
Right. Yeah.
hard to say.
And I'd like to think that Jacksonville still actually gives a damn about playing football, but everything that you're hearing coming out of that locker room is they just have no respect for Urban. So they're going to basically punt theoretically just to get him out of there. And well, it might end up getting them them out of Jacksonville as well. So I mean, and the other thing I look at this spot is Buffalo. The total's 48. They could put that up by themselves if they're really motivated.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And your point about the locker room already, it's just I'm starting to wonder about that situation in Detroit. And I know they're on a bye week. We don't have to talk about them a whole lot this week, but you got a Dan Campbell team that's 0-8, and Jacksonville's the same way. Although I think Urban Meyer, he brings a little different mentality in with the college coach rah-rah mentality, and then the dictatorship mentality, and that just doesn't fly with NFL players. And it's obviously backfiring.
Yeah, it's tough when, you're trying to coach up guys who some of them make more money than you do, and you're used to being able to, I don't know, for lack of a better word, be able to control, an organization and a team, and you're the man, and I mean, he's done himself no favors. I know with the quote unquote scandal and things like that, but I mean, it's still at some point, you really want to play, like you said, pride. That's the key word. Like at some point, you're still a professional athlete. Like you don't get to be a professional athlete for a long time. So
No.
why waste your time being petty on your coach when you can go out there and play hard and either get a big contract in Jacksonville or somewhere else, get yourself out of there. I mean, it just seems like a very juvenile problem, and that's sometimes what happens when you have young guys.
Well, I think that's about as much time as we have spent on Jacksonville on this show this
Probably
year.
true.
So I think we can move on from that. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, Aaron Crouch from the AM Drive, joining us here as always on our NFL preview show. Yours truly, Captain Lou, here from the Captain Lou Extravaganza. You can catch Aaron's show with Mike Carvallis Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific, and all points in between. And you can join our show on the Captain Lou Extravaganza Tuesday nights from 8 until 10 Eastern Time here on the 12-Ounce Sports Network. And all of our lines are brought to you courtesy of betus.com. Go to 12ouncesportsradio.com/betus. And when you get to the site, make sure you use the promo code 12ounce. That's 120Z for your first deposit. And you will get a 125% deposit bonus. For every $100 you put in, they'll match it with 125, so you'll get 225 to play with, and get yourself going with some great games, college and pro. As we've got some fun games coming up this year and also this week. So again, that's betus.com. Let's go now over to New Orleans. They're taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Intriguing matchup, Aaron. This one right now, the Saints are a 6-point favorite at home against the Falcons. We all know that Jameis Winston's out for the year with his knee injury. The over-under on this is 41.5. Atlanta comes in a 6-point dog, and 75% of the betting public is with Atlanta on this one. And I'm just going to go right out and say, Aaron, I'm with the betting public on this. I don't have a lot of faith in Trevor Siemian. I know he's, and Michael Thomas is out for the year now, which doesn't matter. He hasn't played in 2 years, but
Right.
I just like the offensive weapons that Atlanta's going to bring in. Kyle Pitts is starting to come into his own. They're really utilizing him well. I'm taking Atlanta. 6 points is a lot, so I'm going with the Falcons in this one, and I'm grabbing those 6 points.
Yeah, so this is a situation where it's really tough for me to feel comfortable on either side because I don't disagree with you. Atlanta played New Orleans tough last year. I believe one of those games was with Taysom Hill, who actually had a good game last year, 2 touchdowns and no picks against them in that spot. Total in this one, 41.5. It just keeps going down. I gave out this one on the AM drive earlier in the week because I just foresee a spot here. Atlanta, I mean, no Calvin Ridley, their best player is out. I mean, yes, Cordero Patterson's been a nice story, being able to, kind of be that Swiss Army knife, but they really don't have a running game. Matt Ryan has always been a mediocre quarterback, in my opinion, despite, contrary opinion, but I'm actually on the under in this one. Saints have a really good defense as well. The only real talent, in my opinion, on that offense is Alvin Kamara. So if he could screw the under theoretically here, but with with going off on a 200 plus yard game and 3-4 touchdowns, but I don't see that. I mean, I gave this out at 43. It's down to 41.5. I still feel like that's the right side. These two teams are going to struggle to get. I think we're going to see closer to that Saints Seahawks matchup that we saw a couple weeks ago in the rain in Seattle. And I mean, this game, 17-10, 20-13, something like that. I just both these teams. New Orleans is going to stay in the playoff hunt based on their defense.
Right.
And whether it's Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill, I don't really have. I have a vote of no confidence for that offense right now.
Well, I don't blame you. They're in flux right now, and it's funny. Earlier in the week, there was talk of bringing Phillip Rivers in for a possibility, and although he wouldn't have played this week, it's that offense is going to need a spark somehow. And I'm with you. I don't know if Simeon can be the one to do it. I'm with you. I have no faith in Taysom Hill. He's a gimmick quarterback, in my opinion. He's a spot starter at best, but I don't think they can roll with him the rest of the year.
Yeah, and this is really a spot I think Atlanta can actually sneak a win, which would be very devastating for New Orleans. I mean, I think New Orleans' season's over already as far as being a Super Bowl contender, but it'd be a devastating spot because they are still 5-2, and in contention, obviously with that win over Tampa for the NFC South. But it's definitely a spot. Atlanta 2-1 straight up on the road and 2-1 against the spread on the road. This is definitely a spot I kind of like your Atlanta +6, but I think the only way that really happens is if they just they put enough on offense together, because I don't know how New Orleans is really going to react to who starts at quarterback. I know Trevor Siemian came in and looked promising, but that's what happens when the backup comes in and there's little to no tape on him in a certain offensive scheme. Once a defense or a team gets a week to prepare for you, you don't usually look as good. So and the fact that it's still Trevor Siemian, like we've seen him in Denver, there's tape on him.
Yeah.
But I think Atlanta could squeak out a win here. Low key, like just grab like a stupid 16-13 win, something like that.
That's going to be one of my. I'm going to borrow a phrase that you like to use, or that's going to be one of my lottery pick games tomorrow. I think when I go online and make my my goofy parlay pick for tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Atlanta. I'm going to go money line with them on that.
I like it.
Let's go back up the coast to New York City. They're taking on your local team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas, last I saw, they were a 3-point favorite on the road against the New York Giants. The over-under on this one is 46.5. The Giants are looking a little better. I think Daniel Jones is playing a little better. They're not going to have Saquon Barkley. They got Booker in at running back. Barkley's in COVID protocol. He may play. I know he's had an ankle injury. Um, I was telling you an interesting stat that the Raiders head coach, I can never pronounce his last name. You'll have to help me with that one. I'm not going to butcher it.
Rich Bisaccia.
Bisaccia, there you go. I was going to say Bachachi, but
that's good too.
He could become the first head coach if he wins tomorrow against the Giants to win his first 3 games since Gary Moeller of my Detroit Lions 21 years ago. And he'll be only the 3rd coach to start 3-0. It would be John Madden and Bill Callahan are the only other ones to do that for the Raiders in their franchise history. So they are 3-15. Vegas is coming off a bye week in their last 18 years. I don't know how much stock you take into that. That's history. They go in against a Giants team. I like how Derek Carr's playing, Aaron. And the over-under, as I mentioned, 46.5. 67% of the betting public is with the Raiders, and I'm with them. I'm taking the Raiders -3. They got a lot more to play for, in my opinion. They're in the hunt for a playoff spot. I know it's just week 9, but I'm going with the Raiders. I'm taking the road favorite and laying the 3.
Yeah, so I look at the situation here, and you're right. Coming off a bye week, they have to deal with all this, distraction and everything. But I mean, let's be honest. Henry Ruggs isn't, pick your poison. Henry Ruggs isn't Devontae Adams. Henry Ruggs isn't Cooper Kupp. They still have Darren Waller there, and one of the more underrated receivers, in my opinion, Hunter Renfrow, going to step in and still stay in that slot role. But I see the targets on a huge uptick for him. And they got a guy named Zay Jones who, once upon a time was a pretty good deep threat, and hopefully he can recapture that. And I hate everything about trying to pick this game. My head really kind of initially looked at the over in this spot because I think both teams can get me 20 to 25 points, which is a recipe for eventually getting the over. Giants defense not very good. Las Vegas defense has sneakily played really good, so I kind of fell off the total wagon in that one. So I'm with you. I mean, you can't fade the public every time with this one. And I'm seeing 62% here on Las Vegas. And
okay,
I mean, they're just a totally better team at this point. Joe Judge and the Giants are just undisciplined. I know a lot of people here in Vegas are talking about they like the fact of what the Giants did against Kansas City, but I think we just have to throw Kansas City kind of out the window here at this point as being a team that, if you play close with them or beat them, it's a shock. It's not really anymore.
No.
So just everything. The Giants are bad at home. The Raiders are good on the road. So everything just points to them, and I'm not going to think about it any longer. Just Vegas minus the 3 points. It was 2.5 if you can find it on some books. I know it's 3 at BetUS as of this morning, right before we did the show, but if you can find that 2.5, I always say shop around, despite the fact that, obviously we're sponsored by BetUS. If you can find 2.5, please grab that because I don't think it's going to get any better than that.
No, I agree with you 100%. You're in Vegas. I wanted to ask you about this. You brought it up. So if we don't mind spending maybe a minute or two talking about it, the pulse with Henry Ruggs, devastating what happened. The guy's life is ruined forever, but so is the gal that he hit and killed in that DUI. But as far as how's the team reacting to it, from what you can tell, in Vegas, how's the temperature there with that?
So, it actually, a lot of people that I interact with are surprisingly, maybe they just know that, I do a sports show and we talk about this stuff and maybe they brought it up, but a lot of people are just asking about, the Henry Ruggs situation. And it's become, not a lot of people are Raiders fans here. And I know that sounds crazy. It's a different animal than like the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights were the homegrown team. So, a lot of people still have an affinity for them, but the Raiders come in. A lot of people are sour on the Raiders. A lot of people are Chargers fans.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like this is a story that's become, big time news around here because it's actually the second athlete here in Vegas in the last, this calendar year that's actually been drunk and hit and killed somebody. And so it's, can you even bring professional sports here because of all the temptations and the vices? It's, you don't see Golden Knights running around here, nailing people with their car, But that being said, the Raiders, I believe on Tuesday morning or the day after, basically put out a prepared statement and haven't talked about it since, and which is the right way to go about this. I mean, this is Henry Ruggs. You have to distance yourself from him. You can express your support and wish him well, for whatever goes on with him. But they literally they put the kibosh on it. I mean, they're playing, like you said, they're playing well. They've already gone through the John Gruden thing. Like
Yeah.
they need any and every distraction just to go away as fast as possible, and that's kind of the Vegas mentality. I mean, I don't want to, harp on this, but like the October 1 shooting when it happened, like Vegas and the city, just anything that happens in Vegas, like they do their best to put a media kibosh on it. And that's what I feel like the Raiders are adopting right here. Like we've said our piece with it. Good luck, Henry Ruggs, but we're moving on. Like they cut him almost immediately.
Yeah.
They didn't wait for the commissioner to make a decision. They cut him pretty much immediately. So and as far as Henry Ruggs, initial reports, I felt bad, if it's a drinking vice, hopefully you get the help you need. And it's incredibly unfortunate that, a woman lost her life. But then to find out he was doing 156 miles an hour on a residential road, sorry, buddy. I have no remorse or no sympathy for you. And it's an incredibly sad story that a woman not only passed away, but literally burned alive. That's just, it's just really,
Yeah.
really unfortunate.
It really is, and I'm with you 100%. He needs to pay for that, and
Absolutely.
he'll have a long time to think about it. That's for sure. Well, hey, we got Cody Jansen wants to know how much he should put on the Bears money line. We're going to tease that for the end of our show, so you can stick around to find out
Absolutely.
how much he should put money line for the Bears. Let's go to the late games now. We got Philly hosting the Chargers. You and I talked a little bit about this before we went on, as far as one of your quarterbacks on your fantasy team is Jalen Hurts, and the Chargers come in a 2-point favorite in this one. And the Chargers, I'm still baffled at the performance they had against New England. Is New England that much better? I think the Chargers, myself personally, laid an egg in that game at home. They're going up against a Philly team. I don't know what to make of them. They pounded Detroit, but who doesn't? And the over under is where I'm leaning towards. Excuse me, on this one. The Chargers are 32nd in the league against the run. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a decent day against the Chargers. I'm gonna go with the over on this one, 49.5.
Yeah, so for me, this is kind of a definitely disclaimer. Fully will never not be placing a wager on this game officially, but for the purposes of the show, I will be making a pick. This is what I'll call a punt in this spot because I don't know. I want to lay the Chargers, but a West Coast team going east. I know it's a late game, but the Chargers have laid 2 eggs back to back. Are we going to see 3 eggs? From the Chargers? I don't know, but the Eagles, they're such a I would liken them to the Jay Cutler of betting. Just when I think I got them figured out, they totally go and do something completely on the opposite side in this one. So seriously punting this one. So I'm with you, actually. I am on the over, hoping we get a shootout here and Jalen Hurts can put up some fantasy points.
There you go. That sounds great. I'll go along with you on that one. Let's go to San Francisco if we can. They're taking on Arizona. They're at home. This one, when you first look at it, Arizona is getting 2.5 points. Obviously you look at the records, you think, why? This is a tough one because Kyler Murray, from what I saw, and I looked at it at 9:15 this morning Eastern time, he's a game time decision tomorrow with his calf.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have J.J. Watt. DeAndre Hopkins is hobbled. San Francisco is getting George Kittle back. But even with that all being said, I still think Arizona is a much better team than San Francisco. The over-under on this one is 45. It's gone up. San Francisco, I'm not a Kyle Shanahan fan. I think in my opinion, I think he's a tad overrated. And I like what Cliff Kingsbury's doing. Again, I know it's going to come down to Kyle Murray playing or not, but I'm going to go take the risk. I'm taking the points. I'm going with Arizona, the road dog.
Well, I wish you well. I love the road dog reference. But honestly, fully healthy. Like I know this sounds crazy, but fully healthy, playing in a neutral field, I think the 49ers are a better team. I mean,
Wow.
that's not to take anything away from Kyler Murray.
No.
DeAndre Hopkins is obviously the best receiver on the field, but everywhere else, defensively and in the backfield, I think the 49ers are a better team. I think the 49ers almost walked into Arizona and beat them with Trey Lance making his first start, being 1 of 6 on fourth down, only lost by 7, and I think it was a 3 to 4 point game really late into that contest in Arizona, 17-10. Um, Arizona snuck out of there with a win. Now you're going to tell me I'm going to have a beat up Kyler Murray who's probably going to end up playing. Which the
Right.
crazy thing is you take away the running ability of Kyler Murray, you could pin your ears back and sit there and cover. There's going to be no AJ Green. You have Christian Kirk and DeAndre Hopkins on the outside. And I don't know. I like I like laying the 2.5 here in this spot, which is unfortunate because I did catch this early. I caught this actually when the 49ers were a 1 point dog.
Wow.
It's moved that much in the way of it, which it's almost become a
Wow.
public play at this point, which is scary to me. But to say that the Cardinals can't win this game, even with all of that going against them, is not true. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, you're taking Kyler Murray. You're always got a shot here in these games, but um, Kittle back, Debo Samuel, one of the best wide receivers in the league right now, is at least statistically,
Mhm.
and Elijah Mitchell, who's providing a great running game, which is what makes Jimmy Garoppolo successful. Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Elijah Mitchell, when they can run the football, they're a successful team. And I just think right now it's not necessarily a slight on the Cardinals. It's just the fact that they're just not healthy right now, and it's I mean, the other option is Colt McCoy if Kyler
Yeah.
can't go. So I'm gonna take my chances with just laying points here. It's unfortunate that it's moved this far, but as we're taking the bets right now, I'm taking San Francisco minus 2.5.
What do you when you're thinking about doing your betting, Aaron, do you take into account a team if they're in a desperate situation too? Like I honestly think the 49ers are in desperation right now with the Rams and the Cardinals, the record they've got in San Francisco, they need this. They need it bad. They need a win. Do you take that into consideration at all when you're doing your prognostications?
I mean, obviously, it's not necessarily. I think San Francisco's done with winning a division here. I
Mhm.
mean, both of those teams, whether even if it's not the Cardinals, the Rams are just so good. Staying healthy
Yeah.
is obviously key. If they can do that, they're going to have no problem. One of those two teams winning this division. So at 3-4 right now is where they sit. A big win over Arizona would be huge. They'd be 4-4. You have Carolina, Minnesota, and New Orleans ahead of them. All three of those teams most definitely can lose this week. So
Right.
it's not really a situation where I see their desperation to win the NFC West is a desperation to get into a playoff position. And like I said, they're getting healthy at the right time. Jimmy Garoppolo has proven that while he's not fantastic, he's better than the option of Trey Lance right now. And if they can get back to being a healthy organization, Kittle coming back, I think they're back to being one of the more premier teams that went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago, three
Yeah.
years ago, whatever it was. So desperation, it's not like one of the main factors unless it's more closer to like week 15. But
Okay.
it sure does exist when you don't want to fall that far out because, like we said, Atlanta, Philadelphia might win as well, which puts them kind of right almost in the same boat with San Francisco. And you really don't want to fall too far in the NFC. Like I said, you have, I mean, you look at the sixth, seed in the playoffs right now, they're 5-2. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're going to put slouches in the NFC side, whereas it might happen in the AFC.
And it's funny though, you look at that, that's a great point because I was looking at the standings and you've got so many teams that have an opportunity. We'll talk about the Bears later on. They're 3-5, but they're by no means out of the playoff hunt with a lot of you could see a 9-8 team going to the playoffs. So points well taken, but my gut still tells me I'm going with Arizona, so I'm gonna stick with it. So
That,
hey,
and
we
that's
can't
fair.
be we can't be we can't be the same that
W-
on every pick
Wouldn't
that
be a fun show if we agreed on every pick.
hell no, it would not be. All right, let's go back to the Midwest. Kansas City, here we come. You know,
Oh boy.
intrigue game. They're a 7-point favorite right now. It's funny is, we all know what happened with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we could talk about that for 2 hours, but we won't. On my show, Tuesday night, I do my Captain Lou six-pack challenge, and I'm sticking with it, by the way. I'm not deviating it. I'm still gonna let everybody get in that challenge. I had it at even. So, with Aaron Rodgers, the line was even at Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Now it's a 7-point pick, obviously, because Jordan Love is the quarterback and all the turmoil that's going on. The over-under is 48 on this one. Green Bay, last I checked this morning, 87% of the betting public is going with the Packers on this one. I'm not touching the line on this one, Aaron. This is a game that I'm going to sit back and enjoy. It's an intriguing matchup, obviously, with what's going on now. I'm going with the over. Kansas City's defense, I don't think, they're underachieving, to say the least. I'm really fascinated to see what Jordan Love's going to do. Even though this is his first start, he's going to have Devontae Adams back. Lazard's going to be back. He's got Aaron Jones. This, to me, is going to be a shootout. And I'm really looking forward to watching this game. I'm taking the over.
Well, I guess we're on opposite sides of the fence again here. I actually bet this one early, not early enough, unfortunately, but this line reopened this Monday at 56 or 55.5, depending on where you could find it. Well, that was when Aaron Rodgers was playing.
Right.
And I actually really liked the under in this matchup. So I bet it. I bet the under 55.5, and then I bet the under again, which is a stupid play, but I bet the under again at 54.5. And then we get this news, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers, and the line slides all the way down to 48, 47.5, depending on where you can find it. And so I feel like I'm in the good graces here in this spot. So there is a way we can both win here if you like the over on 48. And I've got actual bets in on the under of 55.5 and 54.5. But for purposes of this podcast or this show, I'm going to stick with that under. I think we're going to get two teams that just get to the 20s. And I think we're going to look at something along the lines of like 26, 22, which stays right around that total. And I'm not even sure they can get that high. I know that Kansas City has this high flying offense, but Green Bay actually has a pulse on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And, the book's out on Jordan Love here. I hope he does well. I know that this is kind of a deja vu scenario with the Aaron Rodgers situation, 15, 16, 17 years ago, where Brett Favre finally, kind of passed the torch. Are we going to see that? I don't know. We'll see. But, not to spend too much time on this one, I'm going to stick under 48 for purposes of the show. But ultimately, if you're looking at it just with fresh eyes today or even tomorrow morning, just stay away from this game. There's no spot where you can really feel comfortable having any side on this or total. I mean, Kansas City, you really feel comfortable covering 7 points with them? I can't imagine you do.
Well, it's funny is yesterday morning, I get up on Friday mornings for work at 3:30, and I just happened to look on my app, and the line was 8. So I took the Packers getting 8, and I took the points, which now it's back down to 7 already. So in a little over 24 hours, it's gone down from 8 to 7. So I jumped on that. Could be a mistake. I tend to agree with you, Aaron, not to, 7 points to me, I would stay away from it. But for the purposes of our show, I am going to take the over. I think there's going to be some fireworks in this one. I don't know if it's going to be garbage time points or whatever, but I don't know. You have more faith in the Packers defense than I do. Let's just say that. So
it's also kind of a lack of faith in this offense that's supposed to be high flying in Kansas City as well. So
that's fair. That's fair. You don't know what kind of a running game you're going to get anymore there as well with, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know he's been injured, but even when he was healthy, I
very average,
underachieving for sure. I agree with you. Sunday night game. This at first turned out to be what could be a very fun matchup with the Rams and Tennessee. Then, of course, we got the news, when you looked at it before last week, Derrick Henry, who I think we can all agree was the best running back in football, healthy. But now the Rams are 7.5-point favorite at home against the Titans. They signed Adrian Peterson. I don't know if he's going to play. If he does, how much of a factor he's going to be. I think Nichols will get a lion's share of the carries for the Titans. But I'm going to go full disclosure here, Aaron. I had zero faith in Tennessee coming into this year. I thought that they were a tad overrated because of their defense, but their defense has surprised me this year. They played well, but now we're going to really see how they can do without Derrick Henry. Tannehill, and he's been very, very good, better than I expected. Um, but you mentioned the Rams are playing real well, and you know, uh, this is a lot of points, even though they're a home 7.5 point favorite. Um, and I know they're high flying offense, but for the purposes of this show, Aaron, I'm going to take the under 53 on this one, and I'm not going to touch the points.
Yeah, I don't hate that situation because there is a chance that Tennessee comes out and lays an egg. And I mean, I don't think the Rams can get that all by themselves. I mean, there's a chance that Tennessee is only good for about 14 points here in this spot, and the Rams average 30, 30.6, which is good enough for fifth in the league, which is crazy. 30 points in the NFL is only good for fifth. That's an incredible stat to read.
Yes.
Which should be no sweat for them. The Titans average 28.4 points per game, giving up on defense, which is still including that 27-3 game against Kansas City. Everything points to the Rams here, and they're all in. And they've got Von Miller this week. He's obviously going to help not only himself in that defense, but Aaron Donald really just become a more significant piece, just a defensive monster that Von Miller actually used to be once upon a
Mhm.
time. This might be crazy to me. I'm not going to make an official play, but for purposes of the show, I actually have more faith in Ryan Tannehill than the common man. I think that he is a good enough quarterback to stick around in this league and wade them through all of this rocky course with no Derrick Henry until Adrian Peterson can get up to speed. I don't think he's going to play this week as well. If he does, it can't be much. Jeremy McNichols is going to be a good safety valve for Ryan Tannehill, and hopefully you get two healthy guys in Julio and AJ Brown most especially. But I'm actually going to take the 7.5, and I think this actually before the game will get pushed up. 8, maybe 8.5. If you can give
Wow.
me that, I'm going to definitely. It's actually a twofold here. I'm going to take the Titans plus those points, but at the same time, I'm probably going to find a teaser spot where I can get the Rams, minus a half or something like that, because I
That's
definitely think the Rams are going to win this game.
Boy, you and I are thinking alike on that teaser bet. That's exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow night. I'm going to wait till about 6:30 or 7 o'clock Eastern time, and I'm going to go with the teaser on that one, and I'm going to take um, the Rams on that one as well. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Real quick, I forgot about that. We got two games we got to get to real quick. Totally forgot about those. Um, Boy, turmoil in Cleveland, and Odell's gone. Cincinnati, again, I don't know, back and forth on this one. I'm taking Cincinnati on this one, laying the points.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick. You're right. I mean, you're going to go with the cleaner team, a team that's just lost to the Jets, and you're going to be, obviously motivated. But I'm going to take the under in this one. Let me get it on the screen here. 47 in this spot. I'm going to take the under. Just not a lot of offense, I don't think, coming from the Browns. The last, couple games before that game or after that game against the Chargers, I think they scored like 14, 10, and 15, or 14, 10, and 17 points. So I'll take the under 47 in this game. I don't want to spend too much time on it.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Now, and the other game that I totally forgot about, Dallas and Denver. Dak Prescott's going to be a go for Dallas. Denver, you touched on them, earlier in the show, Aaron. They're one of those teams, kind of like Carolina. They were the sexy pick at the beginning of the year. I fell for that trap. They haven't been that impressive to me. All signs point to Dallas in this one, Aaron. With me, I love what Dallas is doing. They're a great regular season team over the years. Playoffs, maybe a different story. Um, I'm going to take Dallas in this one as well.
Well, not to put too much stock into this. Obviously, I'm going to take Denver plus 10. Give me a double digit here. I know they're on the road, but I can't imagine Dallas is going to try to unleash Dak Prescott in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing could keep getting pushed up, by Sunday morning here in this spot. But Dallas 7-0 against the spread on the road. I might just start martingaling them to just not cover a spread until I can make a little money. I just don't see a spot where they really want to, get anybody hurt. I know they beat Minnesota, but they don't want to be playing, like that every week. Wondering if Dak can play every week. So get themselves out to a comfortable lead and let Denver come in through the back door and cover.
The old backdoor cover. I get it. All right, fair enough. So that leads us with our Monday night game, and that's Chicago and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a 6.5-point favorite at home against Chicago. Over under on this one. This is the smallest over under we've got this week, Aaron. 39 is what I had on mine, and it's still what it is. 94% of the betting public is taking the Steelers on this one. Cody Jansen asked how much he should put money line on the Bears. Why don't you save that check, and I'll give you my address after the show, and you can send it to me, because I don't think the Bears are going to win outright. They may cover, but I'm going to go – this might be a crazy bet here. I'm taking the over on this one. That's way too low in my book. I might go with a teaser later on and get it down to 33, but I'm taking the over 39.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick, and Cody, I think you're going to love me on this one, because I do think the Bears can win this game, and I do think the Bears will win this game.
Woo!
I'm taking 6.5 for purposes of picking spreads or totals, mostly in each of these picks, but I absolutely will be on the Bears money line plus. I believe it's 230 or 245 in this spot. Just because we saw the Steelers get a win, and they're actually a playoff team right now. They're the 6th seed if the season ended today. And I know that's what a lot of people, I think a lot of people are turning a sense of optimism once they see that halfway through the season, the Steelers are a playoff team. And it's been a tough month for the Bears. I know they lost 3 straight. They started, 3-2. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the last time we saw the Bears, did they just come off a bye week? But the last time we saw the Bears,
they got hammered.
They got hammered by Tampa, but I can't remember if they played a game last week. Either way, the point being is every time we see the Bears for this month, it's been sour, or I guess October.
Right.
But it's just a spot where I think, you give me a dog here in this spot that's hungry, that Matt Nagy, you talked about desperation, is coaching for his job, whether or not that he ends up getting fired or not. But Justin Fields, this is a spot where I think you get a situation where the only 3 really good players on the Pittsburgh defense, while they're a collectively good defense, the only 3 really good players are the 2 ends, Watt and Highsmith, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick. So find a way to dink and dunk your way down the field and utilize Justin Fields' legs. I think you got a real shot to win this game. Bears plus 6.5. And Cody, go ahead and sprinkle a little bit on that money line.
All right, we got 2 minutes left. I'll give you a minute for your lock of the week. I'm just going to go back to the New Orleans game against Atlanta. I talked about this earlier. I think Atlanta's going to win this one outright. So my lock of the week is Atlanta plus 6.
Yeah, it's tough to find a lock of the week because those are just never fun to do. And I looked at this one. My lock of the week, to be honest with you, to be laying a touchdown in this spot, I don't love it, but I feel the most confident that this is going to happen, and that's the Ravens covering that touchdown against the Vikings. So naturally, all your money needs to go on, Kirk Cousins plus 6, right?
Well, naturally. So real quick, since I guess we got 30 seconds, if there's a game that you just a can't miss game to watch this weekend in week 9 of the NFL, what would be your can't miss game if you had one to pick?
Well, if you asked me on last Sunday or Monday, I would have said Titans Rams.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I guess not unfortunately the right word, but 2 games I'm looking forward to. The second most interesting game, in my opinion, to be Philly and the Clippers. The Chargers. Philly and the Chargers. But the most interesting game's got to be Jordan Love's debut, Green Bay and Kansas City.
Same here. That's the one I'm looking forward to. The Lions aren't playing, so I don't have to worry about watching a 1:00 game. So there you go. Well, that's going to do it for our show. We hope you enjoyed it this morning. We'll be on again tomorrow, Sunday at 11:00 a.m. Make sure you check it out if there's something you missed. For Aaron Crouch from the AM Drive, this is Captain Lou from the Captain Lou Extravaganza saying, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope we helped you maybe win a couple of bucks this weekend. And join us next week for another edition of the NFL Betting Preview Show on 12 Ounce Sports.